Hey everybody, welcome into Behind the Wheel with Trucker Talk Radio. You've got my co-host John. I'm Justin.
With that covered, we've got a great guest on with us today. He's actually not here in the United States. He's from the Dominican Republic. His family has been in logistics for 110 years. Unbelievable. I mean, still going. He's still moving things forward with his company and helping his family out, especially on the financial side. He acts as the CFO. Harry Heinsen, it's great to have you on.
Hi guys, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good, good to have.
thanks for joining us. What's the weather like there in the DR right now? You got a lot of snow?
Very hot.
Yep,
Very hot.
very hot.
I like to say we have two seasons. We have summer and hotter than summer.
Yeah.
So
All
yeah,
right.
we're around 30 degrees Celsius, so about 95, 96 today here.
95.
Nice.
Yeah, so you're warm. We're freezing here in Tampa. We're around 65 degrees.
Yeah, and
So,
I'm in the low 40s, so I'm jealous to both of you.
yeah.
But Harry, it's great to have you on the show today. Before you were in logistics as a veteran, before containers and all that, tell us a little bit about how you grew up, how your childhood was. I've personally been to the Dominican Republic. I really enjoyed my time there. I went through. It's been probably 20 years ago. But if you could tell us a little bit about growing up there and stuff for our U.S. listeners, we'd love to hear that.
Yeah, so growing up in the DR is great. It's an island, so the farthest we drive is 4 hours away. So that's to the other side of the country. So we get to meet our country, get to know it a lot, just over a weekend. Do a lot of internal traveling. As we talked before the episode, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. As you guys said, my family's been in business for over 100 years. Harry Heinsen and Company is a freight forwarding company which has been in business for 38 years now. My life in the DR has been business friendly. Do a lot of sports.
Yeah,
It's
baseball's
been
really
great.
big down there, right?
Mhm.
Baseball's really big. Soccer's coming up.
Soccer.
Mhm.
Surprisingly, I played football in college.
Oh,
So
did you?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
What school was that?
it's a Pucamaima, so it's a local school here. It wasn't a school team, but we had an independent team where I played while I was in college.
So football, do you mean American football or you mean
American football, yeah. Grew
American
up
okay,
playing
football.
so
soccer and baseball, and then played American football in college.
what position did you play?
Tight end.
Tight end, nice.
There you
Okay.
Yeah.
go.
Very good. Were you any good?
Uh, by Dominican standards, yes.
Okay, good.
Hey, that's good.
American standards, I don't think I'd play varsity, but
Well, good. Well, your family business has been in logistics for 110 years. Go into your childhood a little bit more. I mean, I'm sure you're around the office a lot. I'm sure you were working with your dad. How did that kind of mold you into the person you are today?
yeah. So I started. Yeah, I visited my dad at the office a lot. Saw the paperwork since a young age. Just been around people in logistics all my life, so I don't know any different.
What about your family, being, teaching you how to hustle and teaching, you stated before, like you've only known your dad as a business owner. That's something that, that had to have really had a huge impact on your life.
Yeah, it's been a great example. So watching him grow, watching the business grow itself. I remember the company being in 10 people in a small office. I've seen it grow to now we're over 70 employees. We have warehouses, we have trucks, we have custom agents. So now it's a full service. So I've seen that transformation, and it's been great to see and great to be a part of it as well.
Speaking of your father, I kind of have some similarities with you on the entrepreneurial side and things in my family. My father was actually he was my stepfather that adopted me, and I take a lot of what I learned from him. in my teenage years when we talked before the show of doing every job. I did the same thing in my
Mhm.
father's lumber jobs and industry and stuff. And I was there. If school was out, I was there. If it was a holiday, what did you take away from being around your father? What did you learn? What insight did he give you, to make you who you are now?
The value of relationships and the value of hard work. In business, hard work pays off,
Mhm.
but relationships are equally important. It's not just what you do and how you do it, it's also who you know and who you can help.
How's it working with family? I mean, so many, especially over here in the States, you hear about it all the time, and I'm sure it's no different over there. Working with family is sometimes tough. Do you have siblings that are in the business? How is that? You see them every day. Are you getting your kids into the business?
Yeah, it's we're four brothers. Three of us are here in the business. One of us lives in Spain.
Okay.
But the three that are here, we see each other every day at the office. It's tough because sometimes we go on a weekend, we're at the beach somewhere, and somebody remembers something. We start talking shop. So so it's a 24/7 thing. As we've grown, as we've started our own families, we've kind of learned to separate work from family. And my brother is my brother and is also my coworker, and we've started separating those roles.
Yeah, that's going to be hard, right? I mean, separating that. I mean, you're working with your brothers. I mean, you grew up probably, fighting in the backyard or fighting
Yeah,
on the football field, and working with them. And I'm sure you have disagreements. How do you guys handle that stuff, and how do you, stick to your defined roles with your family members?
yeah, it's taken some time. It's not a switch you can change, but it's just prioritizing. When we're at the office, we talk shop. When we're out of the office, we'll talk about something, but after a couple of sentences, it's like we'll talk about it on Monday, uh, and just putting
That's
a
great.
line there and saying, okay, it's Saturday afternoon, our kids are here, it's time to be with the kids. We'll talk about this on Monday.
So, are your kids gonna grow into this business just like you and your brothers?
At least for me, I don't want to push it on him, but my kid's four, so we're still a long way out.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You got a while yet. I've got six. I've got six from 22 to 10 years old. So,
Okay.
uh, but yeah, the dynamic is tough, and telling your kids to go out there. It's not like it used to be. I'm sure you had some direction. You were kind of pushed into this. I feel like that's where my parents were, and decide and trying to figure out what they wanted to do with their life. And now it's more, you got to kind of let them choose for themselves.
Yeah, and it's different because when I started, it wasn't like they pushed me into this. So the way I started working here was that I needed some cash, go to the movies or whatever. My dad's like, "Come over. Here's a box. Start sorting paper."
How old were you when you got started?
13, probably.
Okay.
Okay.
But it was basically a stack of papers. Start sorting them in. So that started where okay, if I want cash, I need to come over to work. So about 14, I started having real responsibilities. So
Hmm.
I would actually have inventory of uh, pen, paper, just the office material. It was my responsibility to have that sorted. Then it went into documentation, and then as I put in more hours, then the responsibility and roles started growing in.
So basically, then you have started from the bottom of the company and worked your way up to where you
Yeah,
have. That's a great story, and makes you learn. So with that, where you've seen it all over the years, and what have you seen that's changed the most in the industry from y'all side of it?
basically the leverage we can have with technology.
Mm.
So when I started, we would do the bill of ladings on a typewriter, one
Mm-hmm.
by one.
Yeah.
Now we have a CRM that's basically taking the information that the computer has on the warehouse. There's a machine that takes pictures of the cargo, measures it, weighs it, everything, puts it all in the system, and the documents just flow uh, through the operation. Nobody's actually typing it out.
Right.
So the flow of work is incredible how much we can do now. I remember when I was 16, I was in New Jersey loading containers on the warehouse, and the amount of paperwork it took
Mm.
to have a full file that you could ship versus now it's just like it's 3 websites and a few clicks. The work in the warehouse is still the same,
Right.
but
Yep.
the entire admin process has been cut in like a tenth.
Has AI impacted your business at all?
Not yet. It's starting to. So
Okay.
for us in the DR, it hasn't been as strong since it's a small country. There's a big difference with the trucking. So our truckers can do 3, 4 trips a day anywhere in the country.
Well, that was my next question. How is trucking different than in the U.S.? We have so many regulations over here. There's only so much you can do in a day. So you're saying you guys can do 3 to 4 loads a day.
Yeah, the longest it can be. So a truck here can go to the port in Santo Domingo, bring out a container, drive it to Santiago, which is the second biggest city, in about 3.5 hours. So he can technically leave the container there, and by the time that container has been unloaded, he can bring a empty container back to the port, pick up another one, and go back and
Wow.
go back and forth a couple
And
times
are
a
there
day.
any hour restrictions over there?
No, no, we
No,
don't have our restrictions.
they can drive 24 hours if they want.
24 hours a day if they can, yes. So yeah, so AI here is what I've seen is it helps on the organizing your route, how fast you can do it. But because we have this dynamic here, it doesn't impact that as much. So what we have been using is our predictive cargo. So we have a system that will tell us, help us load the containers more efficiently, distributing the weight and so forth. But we're looking into it, seeing what else we can do at the moment.
How much do you guys deal with fraud over there? Do you get fraud and theft either on the logistics side or actually in the with the truck, with the driver? Do you guys have any verification systems in place or anything like that when it comes to the drivers that you're using?
So actually, fraud for us, at least as a company, hasn't been that big of an issue. But we do have a lot of controls and what we do, who we work with. We have a very exhaustive KYC process.
What's
So
KYC? Can you explain that?
yeah, know your customer.
Okay.
So before we handle anybody's cargo, we'll go through a process of who you are, where you're at, what do you do, what you move. So we'll have an entire profile of the customer before we handle the cargo.
Gotcha.
Now, as for y'all bringing containers over, I know you said in our earlier conversations, Jacksonville, Miami, New Jersey. I've dabbled in it for years from overseas, sending, bringing things in. I always had problems, and I was curious if y'all do with y'all's products of the issues when you come to the port where your containers sit for days, or there's so many regulations that they want to open it up or fumigate it. And I remember I used to bring in exotic lumbers from Africa and South America and Asia, and I dealt with it, and it was a pain. But there's of course nothing you can do but pay the piper and smile and move on. Do you see that a lot with the things that y'all send over here to the States?
Yeah, so we do have a lot of industrial customers, and some of the cargo they move is dangerous goods.
Hmm.
So we go through the process. So, for example, last week we had a cargo from New Jersey. The ship leaves on Friday. We normally load the container on Thursday and bring it to the port so it doesn't sit at the port.
Hmm.
But if we have dangerous cargo, we have to load it on Monday because the cargo has to be at the port by Tuesday in order to be on the
Gotcha.
ship on Friday. So that's a where we have to be prioritizing what we're going to do. Sometimes we do have to
Mm.
put the dangerous cargo in another container. Yeah, we'll probably sometimes lose on one shipment because we have to ship it earlier.
Right.
But thankfully, we have recurring customers. So those type of clients move cargo every week. So if we have to do something different in 1 week, it affects the that shipment, but it wouldn't affect the operation. So it's recurring. So it's almost always the same cargo.
What do you mean by dangerous cargo?
Yeah. So flammable liquids,
Okay.
anything with a battery now is considered dangerous
Right.
good. So yeah, the ships are very peculiar. They actually have a lot of regulations on what they can load next to each other.
Hmm.
Right.
So you can have the container in port in time, and they can say no because that cargo can be next to this cargo that's already in the ship, and that'll roll out the booking to another week. So yeah, it has its peculiarities. We do have some lumber clients here, and same here as I said in the U.S.
Yeah.
Everything has to be fumigated. Everything has to be treated. Uh, with the regular cargo, what we invest in, for example, our pallets. We invest in plastic pallets and pre-treated pallets, so we don't have that issue.
Yeah, I've noticed that's become a big thing over the last probably 5 to 10 years. The USDA has really made bringing products in of certain things from other countries just very difficult. And it's not like bad things come in; it's just those things you have to deal with on a daily basis that a lot of our audience don't understand because they're normal,
Yeah.
just picking up something in America, going from A point to B point, but there is a lot of paperwork and a lot of headaches just trying to get something that you bring in every single day. And it doesn't matter that you bring in the same product to the port people. They everything's treated completely the same no matter who you are, what you're bringing in. They're just very strict.
To add on to that, talking about the containers, which for truckers it's also important, is for example for food products and anything that's consumable, they even take into consideration the age of the container. So if it's an older container, they won't allow you
Hmm.
to use it for FDA approved product, for example, unless
Okay.
it's packaged in a certain way. Because a very old container, you don't know what's been in that. So, for example, you're moving pills that can't go in a container that used to move any a petroleum product. So it has to be a container that has an A grade container, which is what they call it, that has never moved any other product.
Are those pretty much the standards across the world? Do you see them different anywhere other than like the US or the Dominican?
Um, it's pretty much across the world. The U.S. it's a lot stricter. The U.S. and the EU basically are a lot stricter than anybody else. For example, here, if you import the product, they'll look into that. If you're moving it inside the country, they don't really put that much attention into it.
Can you explain for our audience? A lot of our audience, they're not really familiar with international shipping. They know trucking in the U.S. They know that products go from one place to another. Can you explain what freight forwarding is what the process is like? When you talk about putting together bills of lading and going through customs and things getting held up in bond. Can you kind of explain what a freight forwarder does?
Yeah, so as free forwarders, we basically are an intermediary between the seller and the buyer, and we coordinate the movement of the cargo. So most of our business would be LTL, so less than a truckload. We'll pick up the cargo at the shipper, we'll take it to a warehouse, and then we'll load it into a container, and then we'll do all the paperwork, which would be shipper information for customs in the U.S. Then every single shipment inside that container has the bill of lading, which would be like the passport for that cargo. It's ID documents, so you know who shipped it, where it's going, whose it is, and that document represents ownership. So if I have the document in my hand, I own that cargo. So I can go to the
Okay.
port and given that the customs process is done, if I have the document, I can take the cargo with me. That's the documentation that provides ownership of the cargo itself.
Could you talk a little bit to our listeners About ocean freight, I know we've already kind of got on it a little bit, and with air freight, a lot of our listeners are, they're owner operators and company truck drivers. But could you speak on that a little bit with involve about, coming to another country, the documentations, the headaches, things of that nature?
Yeah, so when moving cross-border, especially where there's no treaties, because for example, U.S. to Mexico, you can move a little bit more freely. But coming to the DR, for example, in the U.S., basically if I buy something in the U.S. to bring here, I have to tell the shipper that it's being exported, and they shouldn't charge me sales tax, and they have to give me a document where they say, yes, I sold this to you for export. And then that cargo, with that documentation, it's when customs will then get that cargo out of the country. So if I don't have a known shipper, so customs in the US wants to know who sold it to you, where they sold it to you, and where it's going. And that's the US side. Then when it gets to wherever it's going, in this case, the DR customs wants to know where it's coming from, who sold it to you, how much it cost, and then it pays duties here, same as now they do in the US. So it's a process. It's very slow. It's not just A to B. So every stop of the way will go first to a bonded warehouse in the US before it goes to the port or airport. Then when it gets here, it'll do another customs process where you're going to need your invoice, you're going to need the bill of lading or air freight documentation. So you can present the cargo to customs, pay duties on it, and then you can take it out and deliver it. So it's a lot more steps than just going A to B. But when you do it right, it runs well.
Do you notice a difference over there in the volume of freight that gets shipped? Depending on who's in the current administration in the U.S. Do you notice like different things? I mean, I'm sure you noticed a big impact with COVID. How does our economy affect your business?
For us in the DR, we're tied to the US. Oh, our economy depends on the US. It's our biggest partner by far. What we've seen over the years, we do a lot of nearshoring. So we have the free trade zones where we produce products, mostly medical, some textile, that's tax free. So it comes in as raw product. They produce it tax free and ship it out back to the US. We saw that come a little bit down when everybody went to China. And a couple of years ago, we started seeing them come back. And it's a mixture of the duties now that they have to pay if it's coming from China. And it's also some companies noticed that whatever they were saving in manufacturing, they were spending it on inventory. Because from the DR to the US, it's a 3-day transit time. So you can be from a factory to the supermarket in 6 days. Whereas
And
from
under a week?
China,
Wow.
it'll take you 45
Yeah.
days.
Right.
So yeah, you're saving in manufacturing, but now you have this inventory that's not even in your warehouse. It's just in a ship somewhere. The combination of both has increased the production here in the DR.
All right. Well, I got a two-part question going off that. So, with the United States and with the Dominican Republic, do y'all have raw materials that y'all use that y'all can get off of y'all's island, or does everything come from America? Y'all process it, send it back as a natural product? And then my second question, when I used to deal in China, uh, when we would do a deal, we would have to put the Americans would do this to the Chinese, I guess is a better way to put it. We would want the Chinese to do like $1 million of inventory. And they're always working on it. Walmart was one of the ones that did it a lot, and they would go, well, we want to, 500,000 now, 500,000 you're working on. Do y'all see that very much from American companies since y'all can get goods to the states faster? Because that was always a major issue with the Chinese, which I totally understand because you were never guaranteed to get that whole product sold on
Mhm.
the contract because of all the loopholes.
Yeah, so basically the what we've seen here is mostly just-in-time production. Because of the short lead time, we have our factories where they don't manage a lot of inventory. So it's container in, container out all day, just production line rolling 24/7. So yeah, we do have a lot of uh, most of the free trade zone companies are not independent factories, which is different than China. So when you go to China, you have to have a Chinese partner.
Hmm.
That's by law.
Hmm.
Okay.
So there's a Chinese partner and there's an independent factory in China. So you have this contracts where, okay, you have to guarantee me this amount of production because there's no guarantee for me because I don't own you. You're just a contractor. What happens here is most of these factories here are American owned. So the American company comes here and establishes their own production here. And then, so the raw material will come from anywhere in the world, come here, produce, and go to the US as a finished product. We've evolved over time. We started with leather goods and fabrics, so t shirts, pants. Now, what we do the most is medical equipment. We are opening factories for microchips. We have a lot of tobacco. So our exports are mostly those produced goods and then natural goods, just cacao, tobacco, rice.
Is that because labor is cheaper in the DR than it is in the US?
Yes, it has a lot to do with labor being cheaper and that the factories themselves, because they're in the free trade zone, they don't pay taxes. So whatever
Okay.
the factory's producing as income is tax free. So
Wow.
you own the factory here, and whatever's produced here is tax free. I know the U.S.
Wow.
Taxes on a worldwide base, so the U.S. will tax you on it if you're an American citizen.
Mhm.
But the partners that are international partners in these factories don't pay taxes on that profit, and they
Oh,
don't pay
but
duties as well. So
okay. I didn't know that. That's an incredible workaround.
yeah, it's a great, and it's probably our second or third highest grossing industry in the country. Tourism is first,
Of course.
obviously, as with the beaches,
Hmm.
and then right behind that would be constructions and free trade zone.
Do you have a lot of competition? Do you have to go directly and always trying to make deals with these factories?
Here in the DR is not. We don't do so much contract as in the US. So with our US customers, it's like, okay, we'll manage this line, and that's a contract, and all that cargo comes with us. And as long as the service holds, we'll renew the contract when it's done. Here in the DR is a shipment, it's a per shipment basis. So even with the factories, we have the relationship, but it would be every shipment has to be quoted, every shipment has to be agreed upon individually because we are just in the association. We are over 300 freight forwarders registered in the DR. So it's a lot of people selling the same thing in the small island. And then because it's a small island, the shipping lines compete with us as well. Because instead of just visiting the freight forwarders, they can visit the factories as well because everything's close by.
So let's give you a chance to, you had mentioned, how nice it'd be to work with U.S. companies directly. Let's give you a chance to market your company, market Harry Heinsen. Give us your website. Talk to us a little bit about why it'd be beneficial for you to go to or to have the opportunity to go direct with some of these American trucking companies that are looking
Yeah.
for additional opportunities.
Yeah. So our website is harryheinsen.com. Um, we do currently we're doing our own containers from the port from warehouse to port. We do about 15 containers a week. We're working on a new project, which is a neutral service, which would be providing service directly to freight forwarders. We're looking for a partner in the US, trucking partner, which can provide us with the pickup side, not necessarily the container from warehouse to port, but the previous part. Every single container of those would have 6, 7, up to 10 customers which were previously picked up somewhere in the US and driven to one of our warehouses. So right now we're working with the brokers, and we're looking for a way to go direct to some trucking provider and get that discount where to our customer at the end of the line. Because right now we have
Gotcha.
a profit, the broker has a profit, the trucking company has a
Hmm.
profit. So if we can skip a line, we consider we have the necessary volume to be an interesting customer. So we just want to go direct and provide that same value back to our customers here in the DR.
How much volume are you talking like this on a weekly basis?
We're doing 15 to 16 containers. Of those, we would do about 25 pickups a week
Okay.
anywhere in the US. So a lot of it, our warehouses, as you mentioned, our main warehouses are New Jersey, Jacksonville, and Miami. So we pick up a lot of cargo in the Northeast to New Jersey, and then we pick up a lot of cargo in Florida down to Miami.
And then with your customers, to let these carriers know, how far out into the U.S. does the products go? Do you have stuff that goes all the way to the West Coast, or is it southeast, northeast, or?
Most of our cargo is southbound, so we'll pick up anywhere. We have cargo coming from LA down to the DR. When it's that far out, we'll probably do somebody who's doing the LTL in-house. But anywhere from the Midwest to the East, we'll do direct pickup because it'll cost us the same and it'll be a lot faster.
Before we let you go, you can't come from a family of entrepreneurs. You've grown a successful business in the DR. Talk about someone, who's either looking to get into logistics now, looking to build their current business. They may be early into this, looking to branch out onto their own. What would you recommend, entrepreneurs like yourself and your family?
Yeah, so focus on cash flow. I've heard this comment a lot. It's everybody wants to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. Assume you're not.
So true.
If you
Yeah.
get there, perfect. Assume you will not. So this is a business where if you want to grow, you will have to give credit. There's very few customers paying cash for their transport. So managing your cash flow is number one priority. Service and cash flow. What's going to bring you down is when a customer's late on a payment. That's what's going to give you the biggest headache.
Yeah. And what about relationships? You had talked about that earlier. How important is that to the success of your business?
Yeah, I said working hard pays, but relationships are very important. So as truckers, we're speaking to truckers. So as truckers, you all drive a truck. We all can move a cargo from A to B. What makes you different is the relationship you have with that client. The fact that the client knows you're going to deliver, that the client knows who you are and trusts you, is probably more important than price. Because the service in itself, the moving the cargo, we all do the same thing. We pick up a cargo from point A, we bring it to point B. It's everything around it that'll get you those customers and those relationships long term.
Well said. I talk to drivers all the time. I know Justin does the same thing. It's all about that relationship with the customer. They can pick up a load from a broker, and drivers say so much is out of their control. You go and make an impact with a customer, and you do that, and you go back to the broker, you build a relationship with that broker, you build a relationship with the customer directly. That customer is going to they want somebody that they can trust, to pick up on time, to deliver on time, to haul their freight with care. That's how so many drivers make their success, and really put their footprint on the
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah, and you hit it on the nail when you said client and broker, because I say client, my client who pays me, which normally is the broker, but that final client, the one that's actually moving the cargo, if you can have a relationship with them where when they call their broker, they're like, no, I want Justin here. If you can get that relationship working, then yeah, the broker is important, but when that final customer asks for you, the broker
Yeah.
has to call you first.
Yeah, because that's the way the broker keeps the business as well. So it
Yeah.
starts. We always say here we have a driver's first mentality. It starts with the driver, and building your business, drivers out there building your business, it's all about relationships. It's just that simple. It's, going in and shaking that customer's hand and saying thank you for the freight, looking presentable. You go in there with like clean cut shirt tucked in, you look good. You go in there and shake their hand. It makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
And something that I want to bring up before we go, but based off of what you just said, it's something that I think truck drivers here in the United States needs to understand. And we talk about this all the time, me and John. But okay, truck drivers, you just heard what we've been preaching from somebody from another country. Trucking is a worldwide industry. There's different aspects in different countries, just like the trucking in Dominican Republic is different than how we truck inside the country. But the fundamentals and basic things that you can do is the same in the Dominican Republic, the same in America, the same in Mexico. It's the same, and you guys need to really sit there and soak that in. That if people from another country understands that concept, you need to pick up on that concept because we talk about it all the time. It's so important to make that impression, to go the extra mile. That extra mile is going to get you where you want to go in business. And so I really appreciate you saying that. It's like I said, something that me and John probably say at least once or twice a show.
We want to thank our sponsors, those who keep the wheels turning and the lights on around here. This show is brought to you by Gray Cross. Gray Cross helps families when the unthinkable happens. When a loved one in trucking or on the road gets hurt, or even worse, they lose their life. Gray Cross helps step in and support that family.
It's a great company there. Our second shout out is to our other sponsor, Ready App. If you're a driver, fleet owner, or even a broker, whatever you are in the trucking industry, you can be beneficial with Ready App. Ready App makes onboarding simple. One profile, one set of documents, one DOT application, and boom, you can apply to as many jobs as you want with less wait time and getting onboarded. If you're a fleet owner, it helps get drivers cleared fast, but also gives you real driver verification. That matters today with all the double brokering and bad actors that we have out there. So we want to keep it clean and help keep everything professional. Go to ready-app.com. But we really appreciate you coming on today. It's been a wonderful show. Love your insight. Wish you nothing but the most success. Hope we can, maybe do business down the road. But we really do you taking the time today to spend with us.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you very, very much.